Good morning, all you 11 story people. I'm glad to be with you. My name is Gary Copeland Lilly, and this is my craft lecture, and it's on significant details, concrete significant details. And we're going to take a look at how we use those to build a sense of place, or setting, if you will, and how we use them to build our characters and to enhance our writing with those skills. So I don't have no illusions. I don't think this is anything you guys have not heard before. But I think it's something that it doesn't hurt us to always refresh ourselves on what we need to do in the work of writing and keeping our skill set tight. Okay. This lecture will be in two parts. The first part is going to look at how we develop, how we use choice, best word, significant details, concrete significant details to strengthen our characters and into developing our characters. And the second part will be how we use those to build into our setting, our sense of place. So those will be the main focus of the two parts. At one time or another, when our work hits any creative workshop table that we're participating in, and we will hear a lot of comments sometimes about how we're using details, and oh, that's some awesome details you chose. It made me see the area that you're from. It made me experience this character in a different way. Or maybe sometimes you might can hear something that is like not like that, but maybe like you didn't quite make it because it seems to have a lack of details, almost near death. See, that's something we can fix and stuff. You know, first drafts never are perfect. The work of the writing process, the work starts with the revisions, with going through and choosing details to put some muscle into your piece. And so this is what we're going to talk about, these concrete significant details, which read that as being images and read that as being sensory images. Okay? Concrete means that there is an image, something that can be seen, heard, smelled, touched, that you can taste. Concrete, significant, a specific image, which also suggests an abstraction. It does this too. A generalization, a judgment, or an emotion. But it doesn't beat you over the head with it. This is how I feel. This is how that. It doesn't do that. It doesn't. It's a significant detail suggests. It's an image that suggests this generalization with something sharp. And it's not telling us what to do, how to feel. It suggests. Okay. As a rule, some of my teachers would always advise us, writing students, to avoid at all costs using any abstractions, any generalizations, any judgments, like abstraction, hunger, generalizations, the guy, the dog, without the pit bull or something, and judgment, that's beautiful or ugly, or it tells us how we should feel about it instead of letting us get there by the work that you are creating for us, by building it. So how do you build it? Concrete significant details. That's how you build it. That's how you build it. As a rule, yeah, they were suggesting that we didn't, and maybe that was a preemptive strike against bad writings. But here's what I say. That you can use generalizations, you could use abstractions, you could use judgments, as long as you can make the reader experience them too. As long as the reader can, there's an image that precedes it, maybe, but most likely it'll be following that abstraction. So let's look at one, a sensory detail that will allow a reader to experience what you want them to experience without saying experience this. An example of one of the most classic abstractions would be soul. What is it? When it's bare, what is it? Undefined. Like, how does a reader experience what a soul is if it has no form? So just using the abstraction, it doesn't give it any type of shape or form, any type of substance here. And that's what you want to do. So how would you let the reader go on his own and be completely dependent upon each other? But isn't our goal to bring clarity to what we're writing, to bring a sharpness of image that makes us understand the content? Giving the abstraction definition by building an image through a sensory detail also gives it power. When I say soul, tell me what that looks like to you. No depth, no form, it doesn't have any shape. But if I say, my soul, that lock box of cheese, sensory detail, can you see it? Yeah. Are you starting to smell it? You know what I'm saying? You starting to smell it? Yeah. What if I say, my soul is a sack of sand? Get a little bit of, that's getting kind of a little heavy now, isn't it? You know, there's a deepness, there's a sadness in my soul, there's weight on my soul. Or if I say my soul, the spawning salmon going upstream, there's a lifting that is implied with that one, is there not? Give your abstractions strength and power and beauty by the details that we provide. Those choice, significant details, those sensory images that put fire to our work. That's what we want to do. That's what we want in our work. Sensory details to enhance our images. They give them a sharpness. They make the images sharp. So let's look at how significant details can be used in developing characters. Concrete details can provide more definition to that character. It'll put some muscle and some meat on this guy. You know, details which move the development of the character beyond a sort of baseline development. You know, everybody goes to, oh, he was tall or short, eyes were brown, his hair was long or short, or, you know, bald. Choice, significant details can provide this critical information to build your character to the archetype. Are you hearing me now? To the archetype that the character really wants to be. Who doesn't want to be unique? Make your characters unique. How do we do that? Well, take clothing or jewelry, for example. A hat or a particular jacket can attest to a character's attitude. You know, if it's tilted just way, it gets a sense of who he feels he is, the strength that he has and stuff. The clothes we wear, yes, they give a sense of who we are. Let's say, here's an example. There was Lester, the horn player, waiting on the stage by himself, looking deadly sharp, wearing that black pork pie hat. Can you see him standing there? There was the horn player waiting on stage, looking okay, wearing a black pork pie hat. Well, the pork pie hat is a specific style, you know. It's a style worn by Lester Young, called the Prez, one of the greatest horn players ever. The jazz world. He used to play, Billie Holiday sung with his band for a long time, you know. Okay, so maybe, but what does that say about him? That he has a certain thing that he likes to wear. Give your character something unique about themselves that makes them this individual. Lester's thing was the pork pie hat. Okay, what if there's another player who wears a wedding ring that he never takes off? Well, what does that imply? You know, you're building your character by adding these significant details. That implies that there is much love he has for whoever he's with, his significant other. This is a character that has fidelity. Now, what if that character takes off that ring every time he walks into a bar? What would that imply about him? See, the details we choose build our characters for us. They give it muscle. They give our characters muscle. Okay, what if I say something like, Tom was heaped on the piano bench in the dirty jeans and silk shirt he'd been wearing all week? What does that display about this character? Maybe a lack of regard for style or cleanliness? Or maybe it implies he's going through a difficult time. Maybe there's poverty. Use these things to make your character unique. Choice, significant details. And you know, they're always sensory. They're sensory. What could ill-fitting clothes imply? What if they're too tight or too loose? Maybe a sickness. If they're loose and hanging off the character's frame, you know, or maybe there's something else going on that they're buying clothes too tight. You know, but see, you help build personality for your characters. Another strategy in building your characters with choice, significant details is to go to the characters' mannerisms and habits and stuff. Look at those. Does the character have a particular saying that they repeat? Is it supportive or offensive? Consider Black Lives Matter. Now consider the response of All Lives Matter. What does that say about each one of those characters that this is what they choose? You know, mannerisms, habits. What if he steps out all the time and the first thing he does in the morning is pull up a pint out of his back pocket when he's standing on his porch and takes a drink in the morning as the sun comes up? What does that say about him? A drunk? Or maybe someone who just wants to celebrate being there? Your character, get them something that makes them unique. Choice details, choice significant details will add facets to your character. Okay, here's another way that you can build your character and make that character unique. Does this character have a particular gait, a way of walking? You know, when I was a kid, we used to bop through the street and stuff. That's why they call it the bop, you know. But you have to have your own individual bop. Something that made you unique in the way that you will walk down the street or walk down that country road with shoe shoes on your heels, kicking up sparks in the dark. You know, being unique. Key details, choice details, sensory details, concrete details. Okay, so does this person have a limp or something like that? Or does he walk in the pigeon-toed way? Is he bow-legged? Does he walk? Is he wearing cowboy boots? Or fidgeting can give your character. See, you look to see build this personality for you. Avoiding eye contact or holding eye contact too long. What does each one of them imply for your character? A nervous tick, maybe. A constant flexing and stretching of the neck muscles. What does that say about the guy? Make them all right, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Give them something to work with. Give them something to work with. And now, don't forget to include those amplifying physical traits that are a source of choice details. Body shapes can imply health issues or poverty. I am a fan of the Grateful Dead. I love the counterculture that they were all about. I will go to a Dead concert, and sometimes I will never get past the Village. You know the Village. That's the huge parking lot that their pilgrims, fans that travel all around and follow them, set up these villages there, and sometimes I wouldn't even get past that to get into the concert inside the stadium. But I'm still part of the dead community. And we can hear the music, and we're living in it. I'll never forget the time I saw this one poster of Jerry Garcia's handprint, his right hand. You know what stunned me in that? He was missing a digit. The, the middle finger of his right hand, above the knuckle, was gone. You know how much that impressed me? This is a guitar player with a missing digit. That speaks of perseverance, that he's still standing there and stuff. And people who have injuries like that, scars, certain types of blemishes, certain missing limbs, that is from a life of trauma. Yeah, you think this character might be experiencing some of that. Look to use those details too. The more details that you give your character like that, the more defining detail, you see the personality come to the forefront and stuff. You want to make your characters interesting? I tell you what I used to do. Get on the bus in the cities. You could be in the country too and just be somewhere and sit and just watch people in a public space. I used to watch him and watch who gets on the bus as it goes through its loop through the different areas of the city, which means the different economical areas as well. And watch how people were dressed, make my notes, hear what their discussions were, hear how they use language, because all that shifts when you go through the economic strata here, right? I used to do all that so that my characters, no matter where they come from, I wanted to be able to build something that was realistic about each one of them. So maybe some things you should do like that. So I'm going to take a break right now. And when I come back with part 2, let me get some coffee in me. We're going to look at how significant details are used to build a sense of place in the landscape. And then we're going to read and talk about and find out how Jean Toomer uses all of that in the story called Becky. So take care. I'll be right back and talk to you guys some more.